I gotta say, I'm really happy that I actually played today because I discovered this deck on ladder. Somebody played this against me when I was playing Demir, and I was really excited to actually check it out and see for myself if this is actually good, because on paper it seemed like all the tools are there, and I was kind of surprised that I haven't seen anybody playing something like this. I mean, I've seen people play like the wedding announcement, like slow kind of go wide counter thing, like the mid-range deck, basically the blue-white mid-range, like go wide stuff. I've seen that, but I haven't seen anybody actually try to leverage this card, the Invasion of Segovia, and Lost in Maze. And that gave me some hope here. And I gotta say, after trying it, it does feel like a really good deck. And I'm still surprised that nobody's playing this over Boros, because the blue is so good in this meta, right? That's the reason most decks, I feel like most decks want to be in blue, is because you have a lot of things to counter between the combo decks and stuff like that. So having like the baseline really good white spells that are good in Boros as well, right? But also having that blue on top of it is so strong. And this card has been incredible. So if you don't know what this does, you enter the battlefield, make 2 1/1s, it's a battle, you attack it for 4, and then you get this 3/3 that gives all your non-creature spells Convoke, and at the beginning of your end step, untap up to 4 target creatures, which is relevant when it comes down. But your goal is to Convoke the Virtue, or have a Virtue already set up. And once that happens, things get really crazy. So you have like, your entire board untapping. It's kind of redundant with this, but that's not the point. You get 3 creatures off of this, right? So that's 3 creatures getting +1/+1, not counting everything else you have in the deck that is already doing work. Between, the flying creature here, you got this that makes an investigate token, you got the warden, it's probably flying by now, and the bunnycorn that is most definitely hitting for a ton of damage, so that's definitely something they got to chump block. So this deck has a lot going on, and I think it's actually pretty exciting to see that this actually works, I think. Now, again, I haven't played it enough to really give a conclusion, but it's looking good. That's all I have to say about this. One note before we get into more stuff here is that, actually, I'll just keep going, and then we'll talk about the mana. The mana should be last. So, Lost in Maze is interesting as well. I wouldn't say this card is like super good, but it is flexible, and I think flexible is a huge strength right now in Standard. So, number 1, you have the enchantment just coming in for 2, you flash it in, and your tap creatures have hexproof. So it's a protection spell. And that's useful because you have creatures that are extremely threatening at certain points in the game, the warden that grows, and the bunnycorn that has insane amounts of power and toughness. So you have 2 of those that are threats already. Plus, at some point, you can have this that's going to be a threat as well. So you can protect those with hexproof. So it can act as a combat trick. 2, you can also use this with more mana investment, right? To tap X amount of creatures, depending on the amount of mana you spend. And it puts a stun counter on them, which is absolutely absurd. That's something I didn't quite realize at first when I was playing against this. So this can disable your blockers. And when you have a creature swinging for absurd amount of damage, like an absurd amount of damage most of the time, disabling the chump blockers means that I either have to trade something of high value, or you're just going through straight away. So this can clear the path, which is huge. Another thing to note is you kind of have a way to manipulate this card, because you need tap creatures, right? And how do you do that? With the Schooner, because the Schooner crews something, and to crew, you tap it, right? So you can kind of have this sitting there, and your opponent's waiting for a moment where, things are going to be untapped, but you can't. They won't have that opportunity, because you can just hold this up and then crew in response, and then they're screwed. So that was extremely devastating when I was playing the Demir deck with spot removal. I was like, it was actually insane. I could not interact with anything. I could not kill the bunnycorn. I could not kill this. I could not kill that. So really interesting synergy right there. And overall, the deck just works really well off of this freaking Katus, or whatever you pronounce it. I don't know how you pronounce this thing, but Wandering Emperor is insane when you convoke it, because it's just so unexpected. Same thing for Protect the Negotiators being like a really insane counterspell when you're ahead, and you can pay for that pretty much entirely through your creatures. So you could have counterspell up at all times, pretty much, almost, thanks to the untapping from here and the untapping from here. So essentially the same game plan as Boros, less aggressive, but you have more trickiness, and that is really good in this meta. So now we can move on to the mana base, which is probably the main I would say, problem that you have to solve. And it's just that this mana count, first of all, is not going to be on the low side, since we're playing mostly 1 and 2. So I'm at 23. You could maybe go 22. But the key thing here is that you want to play this land. You want to play it, but it's also a tap land. And in a deck like this, playing a tap land is incredibly devastating when your opponents are curving out most of the time. If you can't get going fast, sometimes you will fall too far behind. That's just the nature of decks in general. You got to start strong. And this does not allow you to start strong. But the payoff is that obviously you have a flying creature that makes tokens. Flying creature, insane with the buffs that you can put on it, untapping it and stuff like that. And insane because it generates more permanence for the bunny corn to gain more power. And for this to gain more +1/+1 counters due to the amount of permanence you're going to have as well. It's just so much value that's so hard to justify cutting it. So I don't think it's correct to cut it. But in that case, you might want to consider maybe adding land to make up for the fact that this costs you a land slot, because you want as many untapped lands as possible. You want to get going fast, right? So while you do want this, I think the untapped mana is more important than this. But there are certain matchups where you would always want this, even at the price of, playing it tapped and not being able to cast something potentially. So double-edged sword there. I don't know what the correct amount of this is, but I do know that Murex is really good in this deck because it's an untapped land. It's also a payoff. It also accrues Schooner. It makes more creatures. Like, this is extremely high value as well. So theoretically, maybe the direction is to stay at 23, cut one of this, and add one more Murex. That's definitely possible. Now, the sideboard is a work in progress because I have no idea what to do with this deck. I'm only trying to replicate what I saw on ladder. So I saw for sure the case. So there's a certain amount of cases in the sideboard. I'm not sure if what they were playing was correct, but I'm going off that as the baseline. So I think case, you can try it out. I think it's pretty good in specific mid-range matchups. Flare for aggro. They were playing Glyph. I actually think Glyph is really good. Every time I've cast this card, it's been good. So I think it's worth it. 1, 2, 3, I don't know. More Protective Negotiators. I think Spell Pierce is insane in this deck because you have very low curve, right? And you could curve it out extremely efficiently, and you could definitely leave up 1 mana for Spell Pierce when you're using Warden to grow stuff. Will grow itself mostly. And you probably have that 1 mana you can weave in to screw with your opponent. Negate, obvious. Steel Seraph, something I really want in the main deck because this is another massive soul crushing card for some opponents, like the aggro decks. When you have a bunny corn that has extremely high power, swinging with lifelink. When you have this thing, vigilance, lifelink flying essentially with Steel Seraph, which is absolute nonsense. It is so good to have access to the lifelink, the vigilance, and even the flying for bunny corn if you're trying to get lethal. So, I really want this in the main deck, but it's so hard. And I think that's about it, right? It was a pretty long one. There's Tidebinder as well. But there's a lot of interesting things about this deck, and I'm actually excited for once. This is the first time I've seen a deck, and I'm like, okay, maybe this will shake things up, because this kind of playstyle is way different from what I've been playing in Standard. Because I don't think there's that much as consistently good, because I felt like decks needed blue, but this has blue, and it's an aggro deck, I guess, a more aggressive deck. So it's really interesting, and I like that dynamic. It's a good shake up for me right now, and I really needed something like this. Anyways, enough babbling. Check out the gameplay and make a judgment for yourself. Whoops. Why did I pin that? How do you unpin that? Unpin. Okay. Okay. Interesting, but this is why I didn't want to play tap lands in this deck. I'm definitely considering lowering the count of Anchorage, but it's so good with Virtue of Loyalty and attacking this thing. It's so hard to justify. It's definitely a land that you'd want to play this as your bonus lands. So I should keep the land count that I really want untapped at about that level. So that's why I think maybe 23 lands is too low, because you really want these, right? But then if you're also playing 3 copies of these, your effective untapped land count goes pretty low, I think, for a deck with such high tempo potential, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would have been insane. So the price I have to pay for this is definitely not justified in this case, probably. But it's fine, I can weave this in eventually. It's not necessarily that good turn 1 anyways. Okay, now this is a potential problem. Mono red. And I'm on the draw. I'm not on the... Wait, I assumed I was on the... This is how traumatized I am. I saw Kumano turn 1, and I was like, I'm on the draw. But I'm not on the draw. That's interesting. Imagine not being on the draw. And imagine mono red not curving out Kumano into a 2-drop. Huh. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm a fan. Big fan. How's our mono red matchup? It's alright. Could be a little bit better. I think if I had the 4 damage gain 2 life, it would be a little bit better than the Lantern Flare. I mean, depends on the situation, right? Like, arguably, a Lantern Flare could be better. But the thing is, early game, that's when they gain most of their damage, so if you can mitigate that early, it's a lot more impactful. I get that out of here. This says non-creature spells, right? First time casting this in standard, actually. Probably not, actually. Maybe on release, I was trying out some random Convoke stuff, and it was not great. Yeah, non-creature spells. So I can cast this. Okay. I need 2 white. Okay. A slow mono red player? I'm not playing that slow. GG. That's brutal. That is devastating. That might be the worst feeling ever. Playing an exact damage removal spell and getting wrecked by Wandering Emperor. It's like, just kill me. Okay. Alright. Glyph seems to be brought in a lot of matchups, actually. I had 2. Now we're down to 1. But again, its application is kind of limited. Like, I have to find specifically, you know, one of these 2, which is not that consistent anyways. Okay. This is where I would want the one mana deal 3, right? Alright, Schooner can go, honestly. Even though it's really good with Steel Seraph. Dude, Steel Seraph. This is what's pissed me off about this deck, is that there are so many cards that I want to play that are so good, but I can't. Like, this card is insane in this deck. But so is this, because it's the cornerstone of like what you're trying to do pretty much in terms of like crazy stuff. And then like this is also crazy, but sometimes it won't be too crazy. But when it's crazy, it's going to be really crazy. No tilting yet? I've been tilting a little bit, you know, with the Dimir deck. Just a little bit. But it's fine. I end up winning enough to not tilt. So, rejoice. I can cut a few of these, probably. Spell Pierce. Spell Pierso. And Schooner's pretty good against mono red sometimes. On average, it might be more impactful than this, realistically, but I still need to keep a few 3-drops. Just for the sake of it. It's 3 permanents for Bunnycorn. It's kind of like, it's still got some value there. It's 2 permanents for, or 2 creatures for the Warden. Potential 2 chump blockers, you never know. They don't have trample. Anchorage screwing me over again. Uh-oh. I don't want to keep this, but it's not horrible. I can do like double Siren and hope for a bunny corn or something. But it's also pain land. I have to realistically consider that this is probably going to deal damage to me. At least I would estimate that to be like about 3 minus 3 HP. I'm on the draw. No interaction. But at the same time, I don't actually think there's that much better I can find. Like most of my removal spells are spells I want to cast after developing anyways, so like I'd rather just draw them. I'm gonna try to draw them. And obviously land. Like this card is good eventually. These are not great, but still serviceable. No Kumano. Okay, that's a bigger deal. Whatever I'm doing doesn't matter as much as whatever the hell they're doing. A flare. I think I'm going to start with Virtue just to be mana efficient. It is a little bit worse into Flare though. That's got to go, fortunately. Ugh. Yeah, I got to start doing this now. Pain. Yeah, I estimated this at around 3. It might be more. It was banking on the fact that I would draw another land too, so this could definitely be more in that case. That I'm stuck on 2 potentially. That's fine. I need a land, please. Or that. Yeah, I guess. But also I could... Isn't this just kind of a losing play? As in, like, I should crack the map first, get a land, and then play it? The thing is, I can't really block that. I don't know. This is a tough spot, because I don't think the odds of me finding a land are that high either way. If I miss, I'm just dead. I might as well play relatively safe. Oh, and it's dead. Okay. Well, I wasn't that was not part of the equation, so... we lose anyways. Okay. I mean, I would have lost anyways. I guess I can flare. Okay, it's not over. I can do... I can do this and flare. And then hope for... Wandering Emperor to kill that. I have to trump block. Oh man, and then this comes back. What a disaster. I kind of forgot this card existed. That invalidates most of my like big chunky plays. I guess I shouldn't flare, right? Wait. I wish I could do this, but I can't. Jesus, okay. Whoa. Alright, we're gonna lose that anyways. The mana just screwed me again. It's definitely a knock against this. It really is. It is a big knock against this land. Because the time it takes for this to become relevant, it might just not be worth it. I'm losing so much tempo. And that is a problem. I can probably cut one virtue for one of these. That's probably fine. Okay, maybe I sideboarded incorrectly too, I don't know. I pretty much have a guaranteed scry. But at the same time, it's not guaranteed because they could just kill this and I'm screwed, right? Even worse. Great. Well, that's just really unfortunate. GG. Alright. I mean, double one-lander is definitely below, way below average RNG, so I guess this is where we start tilting maybe. I don't know, we'll see. Depends on how the game goes, but it's probably going to end in disaster. Most likely. The only good thing is I have a clue. Wherever that gets me. Probably not very far. I kind of have to play that. I can't do two and then pass, and then that's just not a thing. They didn't kill that. Interesting. So they really need the scry. So they're stuck on two maybe or something like that. That is good. That can save me. That might be one of the only cards that could save me in this position. I have to play around the 5 damage thing. This is the first time I'm respecting that too, which is interesting. Okay. So we have a 4-turn clock. Well, 3 starting from now. And whether... Okay, so what's good here is I either draw the land or... So it's going to be untapped land, or... Actually, it might not be untapped land. Or I find something to play, right? In both cases, it's fine. Okay. Don't really have to attack, realistically, but... Why not? Why not? And Glyph is really key because it dodges the 1 mana thing. The 1 mana deal 5. Because this is not a blue creature or a white creature. And now the bird is actually good. Because it was used as mana. And since I'm on a Mulligan to 5, I need more, you know, I need more plays. And this also acts as a spell. Okay. I'm definitely making the token. And then do we bird here? No. Just play this. Wait. Yeah, I can tap. No. I might as well bird then. I don't see a point. I really don't see a point in playing this. If it's gonna spend my entire turn and also tap a few creatures, it's just not worth it. Bird actually did something. Did it redeem itself? I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, the thing is, do I need the bird in this spot? No. And even if I reduced one of them, maybe this would have been the second one, right? Actually, it would have been guaranteed second one because I cut one. So I would have had a bird anyways, but would it be on the board already? I don't know. Sure. Wait, they actually dealt with it? And they exiled it. Not super relevant, I guess, but... This thing is so good because it doesn't care about exile. No lethal, right? Oh, might as well just set up some more here. It might be worth attacking with the bird again. Yeah, screw it. And also the bird is really good, again, with the bunny corn and with the warden making more tokens. It's like, it's so hard to justify cutting it, which is why I think this deck might need more mana overall. So you can actually, you know, justify playing more tap lands. This is interesting. I like this hand. This is looking good already. Like, I can tell usually from the opening hand if a deck is good or not. From the opening hands. But so like this is a one opening hand, but it's already a good sign. If this is as consistent, then this deck is probably good. If we're getting stuff like this, enough. So at the same time, I still have to learn like what's the priority for this deck? Is it's probably Siren into Bunnycorn then Warden, I would assume. Or are you supposed to just, I'm assuming it's always this first. No matter what, and then we decide. I do think Bunnycorn against Gruul is going to be really nasty. Ooh. I don't love that. Maybe, yeah, actually I don't love that at all. I'm trying to think maybe Protect, but Protect does not protect enough. It's almost like Make Disappear would be better, potentially. I have to let them resolve one big thing, which could be a problem, but there's no play around Bunnycorn. Like, it's just Bunnycorn or I lose the game, right? Because if they play anything that plays around this, I'm so screwed. Maybe if I had access to Virtue, I would hold up the counter because then I have a play in case it doesn't work out. So ideally I would have had the Virtue there. And then we can hold up the Protect just in case they play a 4-drop. That's actually scary, but I think either way I would be comfortable here. Yeah, that's fine. Do not really care about that. Is it Warden time? Actually, I've never played with Warden. I'm not sure like what kind of, like how incentivized I am to start activating. I think I'm pretty incentivized to do it. Okay, this flipping would be bad. I think I will counter the second spell. If they try to... Am I willing to attack? I don't think I need to. The thing is, if I attack, they're not forced to try to play two things, which I think is interesting. I shouldn't attack. And even there might be a situation where I don't even counter here. In that case, maybe it was better to play Siren, I don't know. Oh, good thing I kept the counter up. Good thing I held the counter. Wait, what does this even do? I didn't even read it. I just assumed it worked. Oh yeah, twice the damage. Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's still gonna flip, but at least I don't take as much damage. I'm still tanking too, right? Because they can't attack with the Ronin. It's fine. One, two, one, two. I want this to gain vigilance, but I don't think it will. Unless I tap the... No. I kind of have to get lost here. Question is, do I want to use a Ganjo at any point this game And I think the answer is probably actually yes. So in that case, is this land draw actually worth... Basically, it's like I'm drawing a Yonjo. Which I think is actually fine. Get the bunny corn on defense. No, you know what? I'll keep... I'm pretty low. I need to be a little bit careful, I think. Because I will win this game eventually. I can attack with this, realistically, right? Yeah. There's no way I die here. It's just a mistake, I think. Like, there's almost no way this dies, first of all. So if they're going to attack, they can't deal 8, first of all. If they're going to attack, they're going to lose something important. The best creature they have is going to die. And then at worst case, I chump block. So this is always going in. The question is, should this also go in? Probably not for 1 damage. I don't know what could happen here, but since this is kind of an unknown deck, right? Since it's just a deck that doesn't really see play, who knows what's in there? And I can't think of all the cards that could possibly be in there. So there might be something. There might be like some combination that somehow puts me in a position that I would regret attacking with a 1 attack creature. It's just not going to matter. Once my Warden is set up, game kind of ends, I think. And I'll have Wandering Emperor and stuff. I'm not in the 1 in a rush. They're the 1 in a rush. Okay, that's a card. Pretty good card, but not very good in this meta, I think. Just a little slow. Warden is... I've never played with a Warden. I think I maybe tried it once. But this card feels so good to play. Like, it is so clean to, like, you know, you get the scry, so you get some compensation for, you know, doing things that are not great, like tapping your creatures. Sometimes you don't tap your creatures, but most of the time you're going to tap, like, 1 or 2 creatures. The payoff, Flying Vigilance, 4/5, like, what the... It's ridiculous. It's absolute nonsense. And holding on to the Aganjo here is actually reasonable, because I cannot interact with this, for example, with the Wandering Emperor. Although, if it gets +1/+1, I won't be able to anyways. Sure. Kind of surprised there's the legendary land in there. So this is like a Gruul kind of legendary synergy deck. I don't want to deal with that. Is that just wrong? I think it's fine. Can't really imagine a creature that I would be scared of in this position. It's kind of like, why not? Just exile, gain some life. Plus on this. Because I'm basically never blocking that. Oh wait, can I get screwed here? I don't think so. Protection in the main deck? It's possible. Actually, it's possible, but I mean, it would happen at some point. Sure. Sure, I'll block, whatever. Get to see more of the deck too. Interesting deck. Like, it's actually kind of interesting, but the times that I've played Gruul, it felt like it would be good, but it's just, in practice, it's not very effective. It's kind of like a worse Boros and a worse Mono Red. Like, both directions are not really very good. But the cards in it are very good in general. Like, Samut is a very good card. It's just, how exactly do you use it effectively? Oh, this is indestructible. Oh. I kind of forgot about that. It doesn't really matter, but... Still had to block. Didn't have to block, but whatever. I can force them to block, right? I might make a 2/2 just because it's more defensive. I don't think it matters though. No, it just doesn't matter. I shouldn't make a 2/2.
Remember your training.
Like, they can't get through this. Actually, wait a minute. Is there a way I die to trample? No, I mean, I could always... Worst case, I block with this. I'm trying to think of, like... Is there a situation where I block, I lose this for free, basically, and then I lose? I gain the stats, that's unfortunate, but... Still not a situation where I'm, like, super scared. This needs to be 7 first for me to be actually terrified. Okay, it's good. All right. Okay. Alright. I did forget about indestructible. That was a... I think blocking was definitely a bad play, so that was my bad. Just ignore me. I thought I was going to trade. Does the roll token give indestructible? I don't think it does, right? I'm too used to playing that card over Tivar's stand. I'm pretty sure the roll token one is just hexproof. I could be wrong. That might be where it's coming from, yeah. It's just I tend to play that card over Tivar's stand, so just brain defaults towards that. It's not, yeah. It is what it is. Not exactly sure how I'm supposed to sideboard with this thing, but let's see. Lantern Flare seems good. They won't have that much removal, right? It's probably going to be impactful. I think we have a little bit too many redundant effects. Like, this is kind of a Lantern Flare, but I would have to play in like a more mid-range matchup, so it's kind of redundant. But at the same time, the power level of this card is there as well. Like, what it presents is not only removal, but also, you know, the extra power. So in certain mid-range matchups where the life is not relevant, I would rather play this. I don't think I can play Protect the Negotiators in this matchup. Like, it is fine, but I think it might be a little bit too reactive, or not even might. It probably definitely is. Glyph seems okay. Just a 5/4, chunky 5/4. It's not always going to happen, but when it does, it's going to be good. And then still Seraph is a consideration, but at the end of the day, it might just be a 3/3. But at the same time, I think we can. You know what? I think we can safely remove this a little bit, because this card against aggro, you have no time to like start doing shenanigans like that. Maybe it's something like this. Why can't we have full art lands? I actually think the battle's not that bad. It's always going to be decent because it skills your other things. It's not super good with Warden because you can't tap the battle itself. It's really good with Bunnycorn though. This is interesting. I almost feel like I have to keep that. Let's do it. Screw it. Content. I feel like it's correct, but like everything is here for like the perfect hand. I just need land. Am I gonna find it? Debatable. But it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. Content keep? It's not that much of a content keep. Realistically, I think most people would keep this hand. If you're in a tournament and you see this, I would keep it. If you're one game up. If I'm one game down, I think it's still correct to keep it. It would feel a little bit worse because, you know, you don't feel comfortable letting everything ride on RNG, but it is what it is, right? I even drew Steel Seraph, so if this Bunnycorn gets a little bit bigger, it could become a problem for them. I mean, I almost think, yeah, I'm never blocking with the Warden here. He'd land. I could have killed this. I think it's the wrong play though. I play it next turn. Sure. Oh, I guess, well, I guess that would have been good to hold the Warden up for, but I don't think it matters too much. It's only one card, not a huge deal. I mean, I was just scared of like maybe, you know, baiting myself into blocking and then they finish it off somehow. Like this thing living is pretty huge. But maybe that was just wrong. I don't know. It's possible. Bunnycorn is a 5/5. I feel like it's probably Bunnycorn. But then my curve is kind of whack. That's good. Interesting. Definitely a misplay. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know. Again, like, they have so many plus power stuff. Like Audacity, I would not block. Like, there's so many things I would not block. And who knows if they have, like, the extra 2 damage if I block something. But in that specific situation, it was kind of bad. Obviously. Bunnycorn dying would be bad, so I might not block if this attacks. Okay, that's scary. It's probably indestructible. If I block both, I probably have to take it. This won't draw, right? Yeah. I'm fine with that. It's confirmed at 100% that they have the plus power and indestructible. So I'm gonna have to play around that, but it's not that hard for me to do. Problem is, this keep is bad in that case, pretty much. But there's not too much I can do about it. Okay. Now I can blast that, okay. I think I definitely misplayed this game. Alright. Still learning the deck. Maybe I'm overvaluing the ward. So there's a lot of things to think about. Like, was it correct to play the flare there? I think so, because I'm pretty sure, I'm almost 100% sure they have the Tavares stand. In that case, I kind of have to do this. Okay, so they have another copy of that, but that's okay. They don't have the plus power for now to make this a 3/4, which is fine. Oh, they do? Okay, so they also have stand. Alright, that's... Could double block. It's kind of pointless, right? Nah, I just tank it. Right? No? Maybe? I mean... No? Okay, wait. If I force them to use it, they don't draw, which is kind of interesting, right? Yeah, I actually don't mind, I think. And then I get to actually kill it. Oh. I think it's okay. Like, it's still... Yeah, it's fine. They don't draw, so... Basically, I'm trading my Bunnycorn for one of their draws and also removing that card from their hand. So 1-for-1 with stand, and I'm denying a card. So I think it's got to be worth. Now the problem is, do I want to kill that? I think so, right? Because otherwise it will permanently be indestructible. The problem is it does give... There's so many... so many things here that are annoying. Because I really want to play Steel Seraph, but I guess it's just not time. Making this bigger at the cost of one of my blockers is interesting as well. Oh. Like if this attacks, I would much rather have access to another blocker, but whatever, we'll see. That's fine. Like I don't have time to play all this. Something's not right here. Maybe that was not a keep. I need something else, maybe? Yeah, probably. I'm scared of that double damage legendary thing as well. Land, please? Oh, no. Well, if they have double damage legendary, I'm just dead, but I would be dead anyways. So I get 4 power. Yeah, that's scary. 4 power guaranteed. And then they have the Godric. Ugh. Such a weird spot. At least if they don't attack with this, I'll know they have a combat trick, so... Okay, nothing. Okay, sure. It might be better to... No, actually holding up Wandering Emperor is useless. Never mind, I almost got baited into that. I almost got baited into that. I should always tap Steel Seraph, right? Because this can chump block. But I would never want to block with Steel Seraph, so... Everything's so awkward. Like, this is so good, but... When do I have time to play all of this shit? It's probably wrong. It's probably wrong, but... Whatever. It was... No, this was wrong. This was wrong. This would have been good. This is wrong, because I can't... But it's still Discover 3. I don't know. Everything is so hard, because I have such low mana count, right? Bunny is good, I think. Because obviously they have big creatures, they have ways to scale up their creatures, I just want the maximum amount of, you know, bulk. Like, everything in my hand is so good, I can only play 1 a turn, though. Which is making things a little bit more awkward, but... These are definitely better than... I guess this is better than me drawing a land, I think. Probably. Okay. Doesn't really matter. I probably didn't need to overthink anything, it's just like, I'm trying to figure out... It was less about what was happening in this game until I played the Steel Seraph. It's more about like, what do I do in general with this deck? Okay, am I supposed to like try to find land so then my next spells can be played in tandem with each other? Am I trying to like draw land to actually crack the clues and then play spells afterward? Because I have Virtue as well, right?